Everybody being here bright and early, everybody being excited, being ready to go. What we are doing, we got a lot of the details done, a lot of the paperwork. We've signed some papers, we've dotted the I's, crossed the T's, and got things in order. And we're ready to start. We're ready to get going. I have the great honor. I think everybody knows this gentleman. He's been the president of the Texas AFL-CIO for a few years now. I consider him a dear friend, just like the rest of y'all do. Please give it up, stand up, and let's welcome our president of the Texas AFL-CIO, Rick Levy.
Thank you, Leonard. Thank you, delegates, and welcome. What's up, Goosey in the back? I see you. Okay. Brothers and sisters, I have to say that this is the moment of the convention that I so deeply anticipate every year that we do this. I get to be up here. I don't take that for granted. And I get to look out and see a sea of Texas trade unionists. And looking over the room, I can literally feel what we talk about so often, that we come from all over Texas, that we're all so different. But we have one thing in common. And what we have in common is that we work for a living. An electrician wants the same things for their family as a hotel worker or a cafeteria worker. A postal worker has the same dreams as someone who spends their day on the shop floor. The issues we face are different. The specific obstacles that we all face, they're different. But it's the same purpose that drives our work every day. And that is to fight to make sure that every worker in this state is treated with dignity and respect. That's why we're here. And it's a beautiful thing. And so I encourage everybody to take a look around and just take in this room of trade unionists from around the state, and that we're all fighting together. Because one of the things that makes me the most proud about my time in the Texas AFL-CIO is the solidarity that we've built across different trades and different industries. It takes work and it takes struggle sometimes, but it's worth it, because when we come together, we do some amazing things. So there's so much chaos and so much dysfunction, but right now it's our union that gives us the tools to do something about it. So I'm really glad that we're in convention this week, particularly in this moment, because the challenges we all face now can feel so overwhelming when we're isolated from each other. What's going on? Well, we have a federal government that has declared a war on workers. And it's perfect that President Kelly of the AFGE is going to be here to talk about that fight, because AFG members have not only been on the front line of receiving the attacks, they've been on the front line of creating the resistance. And we know that if they get away with attacking them, the rest of us ain't far behind. We also have a federal government that's trying to achieve the single greatest transfer of wealth from working people to billionaires in the history of this country. With this bogus, bloated bill. Thank you very much. Y'all hear those people laugh? Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I worked hard on that. Cutting Medicare to give Elon Musk a tax break is just so wrong on so many levels. And here in Texas, we have a governor that continues to create his own little billionaire's playground, scheming to cut health insurance and other essential services for thousands and thousands of Texans. Did you know that yesterday he vetoed a bill that would have provided $60 million out of a $30 million budget to give poor kids lunch at school? What kind of person cuts $60 million from poor kids' lunch so that billionaires can have a tax break? And all the while ponying up millions and millions of dollars to force feed us a private school voucher scam that's going to take money from our underfunded public schools and siphon it off to a wealthy few. The bottom line is people are falling farther and farther behind. Inequality continues to skyrocket, and the rich just keep getting richer. So what are y'all going to do? That's what I'm talking about. One thing we're going to do is organize. Am I right or wrong? I think I'm right. It means that we do everything in our power to organize more workers. People understand that the union is the way to a more economically secure future. 70% of the people in this country know that unions are good for working people, but only a fraction, like between 4 and 5% of people in Texas actually have a union. We got to do something about that, y'all. That's on us. In Texas, the labor movement, we continue to grow. Y'all are doing great work, but it's not fast enough. At this convention, we're going to highlight some of the ways that folks are organizing around this state to make a difference. You're going to hear from international union presidents. You're going to hear from local activists. You're going to hear from everybody in between, because what we want to do is focus the attention on the fact that people are on the move and doing something to change this by organizing. That's why our theme for this convention is a labor movement as big as Texas. All right? Because that's the only way we're going to change the direction of this state. The second thing we have to do is we have to change our politics. It ain't working, y'all. We have to break out of this old, tired Republican versus Democrat, Tweedledum versus Tweedledee. The main fault line in politics right now is not Republican versus Democrat or even left versus right. It's the workers versus the billionaires. And the question we need to start asking in politics right now is a simple one that we have asked throughout the history of this movement. And that question is this: which side are you on? Which side are you on? And it may be a little bit uncomfortable for some folks, especially those that are used to counting on our support while delivering very little in return. But that's okay, because I'm tired of fighting and defending for people that won't fight and defend us. We're going around the state. We're talking to our members. We're listening to our members. We're training our members to run for office at all levels of government, because we understand that we can't just hope for others to fix this for us. We got to stand up and do it ourselves. We need labor champions at every level of government, not just to vote for us, but to fight for us. And that means we're going to have to step up and make that happen ourselves. And finally, we have to be our best selves, y'all. We have to be our best selves. We cannot meet this moment if we are not operating on all cylinders. And what that means is that we have to look in the mirror too. We have to look in the mirror too and make some tough decisions, because the way things always have been is not a good enough reason for having that be the way that things are always going to be. And so we've started a process here at the Texas AFL-CIO. And a few years ago, the National AFL-CIO started a process called Modernize the Movement. And it was a movement to get all of us on the same page. State feds, central labor councils, international unions, all pulling in the same direction. And they went around the country and they looked at different state federations and they looked at central labor councils and they figured out what was working and what wasn't working, and they made a series of recommendations. And out of those recommendations, they picked 6 pilot states to try and figure out how can we organize ourselves to be the most powerful labor movement that we can be in our states and local bodies. And we signed up. We volunteered. We put our hand up at our last convention to say we want to be part of that, because Texas is too important to not do everything we can to change it. And so we called together union leaders across the state, many of you in this room, and we said, what do we need to do? Y'all that control the purse strings, y'all that make the decisions about where you're going to invest, what do you need in this state to make you feel like the Texas AFL-CIO is fighting with you like we need to be? And they gave us some assignments. One assignment they gave us was, you need to help more with organizing. And so we did. And we've created an organizing department at the Texas AFL-CIO. And leading that department is Ana Gonzalez. And Ana lives at the intersection of politics and organizing, leveraging our political power for our organizing power, connecting different community groups with unions to try and grow. And we've been doing that work, and we've had some amazing victories across the state by all working together in that way. The second thing that they told us was, it is unacceptable that we do not do more in the Rio Grande Valley. Anybody here from the Rio Grande Valley? Right up front, that's what I'm talking about. Front and center, let's go. But y'all, there's so much economic activity happening in the Rio Grande Valley. And there is so much political activity that we're not able to impact. And I think we've all been up in the Capitol and we've seen the effect of that as we see folks that should be voting with us, not voting with us. And there's so much economic activity that they've given over vast swaths of land to everybody's friend Elon Musk and said, go have fun and make money and be damned with the rest of you. And so they said, you need to build up the labor movement in South Texas. And so we've hired an organizer, Jose Jimenez, who is down there. And since we started that work with Secretary Treasurer Aguilar, across the region, not just in those narrow geographic regions. And so we brought together folks from the Dallas and the Fort Worth area, and we set up a process and we asked them, what do y'all want to be? And the answer that came back is, we want power. We want to build something where we have power, where when something happens at the airport in between Dallas and Fort Worth, they come to labor. When we talk about transportation, which crosses the region, we want them talking to labor. When politics happen and it's across borders, we want them talking to labor, and we want labor to make a difference. And so over the course of many, many, many months and many, many meetings, hard conversations, they themselves worked with us to devise and come up with the idea of a North Texas Area Labor Federation that will combine both Dallas and Fort Worth, the power, and everywhere in between, and build out a new structure that will respect local issues, but will be a force that will have to be contended with across the region. So we're going to be voting on a resolution to support that work on Saturday, and we're going to transmit, if it passes, we will transmit that to President Schuler, and President Schuler will then take action to make it a reality. But two things I want to say. First, I want to thank President Schuler for trusting the Texas AFL-CIO and our local affiliates to create something the way we want it, the way we know that it'll work on the local government, on the local level. Because having that kind of trust and partnership from our national president is something that is deeply meaningful to me and something that we work every day to honor. And the second thing is, I want to congratulate the courageous folks from Dallas and Fort Worth who were willing. And I've talked to many who say, you know, when we first started talking about this, I was not a no, I was a hell no. But as we started talking to each other and learning from each other and thinking about what it could be together, we're willing to take this leap of faith because we got to be better. We got to do more. So I'd like to ask the folks from Dallas and the folks from Fort Worth to please stand up and be recognized, and we can thank you all for all of your work and your courageous work to make this all a reality. Look at this, y'all. This is going to be the future of North Texas, and we're going to be kicking ass together. So let's take full advantage of our time here, brothers and sisters. We have a lot of work to do, and much will be expected of us when we leave. To me, here's what will make it a successful convention. If you can do any or all of the following. Number one, be connected. Feel that you are part of something bigger than yourself. You're not alone. Make connections beyond your union. Leave with new friends and allies, because part of the magic of this room is that you get to meet members from all over the state, all different industries, and learn from each other. Be smarter. Learn. There's lots of ways to do that, to leave this place more prepared than you came to meet this moment. Speeches, workshops, conversations. Be inspired. Draw inspiration. We have some incredible speakers. We have some incredible delegates. Draw inspiration and energy from the work you hear about and the people you meet. Decide what you're going to steal from the folks here. Hell, back home, they won't know it wasn't your idea. And go home and use it. And finally, be committed when you leave here. This is hard-ass work, to quote my brother Chris Wagner. Rededicate yourself to this movement. Be an inspiration to someone else and carry on the work together. I often, whenever I talk actually, I'm moved by the fact that it is this group of people, our union movement, that has the power to change this state. Nobody else is going to do it. And it's hard work. It's often really depressing work when we come up against such heartless people that we do. Thank you for the Cope contribution. But here's the thing, y'all. Just know that if we can build our movement and we can change the state of Texas, that we change this country forever. And if we change this country, we literally change the world. Who gets to have that be their work? We do. Let's take advantage and let's make a difference. Thank you all for being here. We look forward to hanging with you for the next few days.
We gonna be all right.